Hey everybody, I'm Leslie. Welcome to my cooking channel. Today we're going to make a delicious, authentic Italian tomato sauce. Very good. There's just three key things you got to remember when you're making tomato sauce. One, use quality ingredients. I know this sounds like a no-brainer, but I tell you, there's a lot of really crappy tomatoes or tomatoes out there that are just going to make your sauce taste yucky. So the tomatoes that I recommend are San Marzano tomatoes, direct from Italy. They're the best tasting tomatoes. If you can get your hands on them, I would suggest doing that. I order them by the caseloads over the internet because they don't go bad, they stay in the cupboard. If you can't find San Marzano tomatoes, when you go to the grocery store, just check the labels to make sure there's no citric acid or extra seasonings in them, because those types of things are there to mask the flavor of bad tomatoes. And if you use poor tomatoes, your sauce will be bitter. So that's the first thing to remember. The second thing is always to de-seed your tomatoes. So for my tomato sauce, you'll see I'm using a food mill, and what that does is it takes the seeds out of the tomatoes themselves. That gooey green stuff you see in and around a tomato seed, that stuff tastes really bad, and it's just going to make your sauce taste bad. So if you can get rid of those seeds, it's going to make your sauce taste a whole lot better. And then the final thing to remember is just keep your ingredients to a minimum. Use a little bit of garlic, use a little bit of onion. You want to make sure that you're spending this money on your good tomatoes. You want to make sure that your sauce tastes great and you're not tasting all these other things. So those are the three things you need to know. Let's go into the kitchen, let's make a beautiful sauce, and then you can enjoy it at home as well. Okay, so I'm using a food mill here to get the seeds out of the tomatoes. That green stuff that's in and around the tomato seeds is what's going to make your sauce taste bad. So you got to make sure that you get these tomatoes through the mill and separate the pulp from all the seeds. So you can see when you get to the bottom here, all the seeds are left in the mill themselves, and then what you should have at the bottom is just the leftover lovely sauce of the tomatoes. Okay, let's get our sauce going. So we want to get our oven on, just medium to low heat. Get that going. Want to take a good quality of olive oil. Just put a little bit in the bottom just to get it going. Then we're going to add our onions, just maybe a quarter cup of onion, not too much. Want to keep our ingredients down to a minimum. A little bit of garlic, and add that too. We're just going to sweat them down. We don't want them to get brown or anything like that. We just want to cook them long enough that they get soft, and then they release all their flavors. The onions are starting to get translucent, so now we need to add the tomato paste. So we have about a third cup of tomato paste. You want to add the tomato paste, and you want to cook it down a little bit. This is also going to mellow out the bitterness of the tomato paste itself. You want to make sure that you don't burn it, so just keep a good eye to it. Okay, that's looking really good. So what we need to add now is the tomato puree. So let's just add that into the mix. Oh, nice and bubbly. Oh, looks good. Let's mix it up. Just going to add a little bit of salt. We don't want too much, just give a little bit of seasoning, and we're going to make sure that that's mixed up nice, smooth. Just a top tip, don't add pepper to your tomato sauce, just salt. So we're going to mix that up and just let it simmer for about half an hour, just to make sure all the flavors meld together and you're left a really zesty, tomatoey taste. Okay, great. So this has been going for about half an hour now, and look, it's nice and thick, good consistency. So we're almost finished. So what we want to do is right before, about 2 minutes before the sauce is done, we're going to take some fresh basil leaves, just going to rip them up, put them in there for a little bit of flavor. It's going to infuse. It's going to taste really nice. Put some of that basil-y flavor in there. And we're going to let that cook down just for a couple more minutes. We're going to finish it with a nice swizzle of olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil, cold press preferably. That's always the best. So we're going to mix this in, taste for seasoning. And if we need a little bit more salt, add a little bit. But actually this is pretty darn good. I'm pretty impressed with myself. Well, as you can see, making a good quality tomato sauce is super easy, so you'll never have to buy store-bought again. If you enjoyed the video, like it, subscribe to the channel, because next week we're going to be making a fabulous gluten-free pizza crust, and I'm going to be using this tomato sauce as the base for a really, really yummy pizza sauce. So thanks again for checking in and watching, and we'll see you again.